Hey everyone, so this video is going to be a little different than usual because I'm not reviewing a specific product. I'm talking about a business in general, but I thought this was pretty important information to get out there, so I figured I'd shoot this video. If you've seen enough of my previous ones, you'll see, you probably will have seen, I guess what I like to call mixed at best reviews from businesses such as RTI or Classic Firearms or places like that. And as mixed as those experiences have been, I wouldn't go so far as to say you should never order from them under any circumstance. You're going to get ripped off because some people genuinely do come away happy. It's possible to get a good deal. You do have to do your research. You do have to do your comparison shopping. You do have to read between the lines when you look at their ads. You have to temper your expectations accordingly, but it's completely possible. It does happen that occasionally, you can win. The business I'm about to discuss is not like that. Like, you cannot win. It's pretty much guaranteed. Don't do business with under any circumstance. And the business I'm talking about is one called Ranier Sec, which is a gun store that's both online and allegedly has a storefront in Anchorage, Alaska. So the first thing to note is the web design on the site is actually very modern and slick. It's responsive. It looks very professional. It's not like something out of 1999. And not to suggest that anything that does look like it's out of 1999 is necessarily a scam, but the more professional, the more credible it seems. And on the surface, this seems to be all right. The other thing that they seem to, where they seem to do well is they make references to, for example, Class 3, NFA, which suggests some kind of knowledge of U.S. gun laws, which if this was some kind of a foreign scam operation, you would think that it's not terribly likely that somebody would know about that. I mean, most Americans probably don't know that much about U.S. gun laws as it is, much less somebody from outside the country. They have a function called FFL Finder, which suggests that they're familiar with the logistics of purchasing guns online in the U.S. and the laws that apply to that. Again, not something you'd necessarily expect some kind of foreign scammer to have researched, but it's there. So the other kind of thing that I do look for, just to see if something's on level, is looking at, for example, their grammar and their spelling. There are some areas where this is a little funny. So for instance, we see here it says best site. That's kind of strange. It doesn't really fully make a whole lot of sense. You'll see another spot where it says safety is spelled safety, things of that nature. But then when you get into, for example, their About Us, where they're writing out full paragraphs, the grammar is really quite decent. Certainly very passable and doesn't stand out as bad, by the standards of your typical speaker of American English. So we're kind of mixed there, I guess, but it is a little odd. Where it starts to get very red flaggy, I guess the first one is that there's suspiciously low pricing on almost everything. So for example, 9x19 brass-cased ammo 50-round boxes are $8.60. And they say that we offer free shipping on all orders. So that's an obscenely good deal by today's standards. It would have been a really good deal by 2018 standards when ammo was cheap and plentiful, and certainly by today. And so to have it be in stock at that price with free shipping is ridiculous, especially considering, as I mentioned, they're allegedly out of Alaska, and shipping to and from the lower 48 is actually extremely expensive. To ship a box of ammo between the two, one way or the other, probably costs more than $8.60 in and of itself. So, I mean, are they just sending it to you basically for free? Because there's no meat left on the bone if that's how they roll. So, again, this is to me extremely suspicious. This is already enough to be very skeptical of this business. But it doesn't stop there, not even close. So another thing that I found odd was looking at their About Us page is they have a picture of their storefront. This is kind of an odd thing about myself, but one of my other hobbies is that I collect license plates from other places that I've been. Generally antique stores will sell them or whatever. And those to me look like Utah license plates. And there's like 3 cars out front, which is really strange. Like 3 different people drove to Anchorage all the way from Utah, like as in crossing the Canada border or taking a ferry or something like that to shop at this gun store. Pretty strange. So I ran it through a reverse image search and found that this was actually lifted from the About Us webpage of Impact Guns, which is a real store that does exist. that does business online as well, and they're in Ogden, Utah, which makes the Utah license plates make more sense, and they just photoshopped the photograph. So basically, they're essentially stealing, not essentially, they're literally stealing information from legitimate existing stores. And oddly enough, looking at the About Us information on Impact Guns, we see that that's where they got the good grammar. They lifted the About Us page word for word. They only changed the name and the date, because Impact Guns' founding date is 1997, and Ranier Sec changed that to 2010. But other than that, it's word for word identical. And we see more of this looking at their terms and conditions, or terms of service, or however you describe it. It all looks very proper. It looks very official, like with all the proper legalese for the sort of business that sells guns and ammo online. And this is also directly lifted from the Impact Guns terms of service as well. They just threw in their name instead, and that's it. Like literally, you could scroll to the very bottom and you could see that they mentioned if there's any need for any sort of court or legal arbitration, that the jurisdiction that they're in is Weber County, Utah, or Weber County, however that's pronounced, which in the case of Impact Guns makes perfect sense. And in the case of a business allegedly operating out of Alaska, that's, to put it mildly, extremely strange. So that's, yet one more red flag. And there's some other stuff as well, too. For example, they mentioned that they have 24-hour customer support. This is really very strange, not at all industry standard. Even like the really best businesses that, do business online in this field don't have 24-hour customer support. I mean, how could you be making a profit if you're staffing, staffing expensive, very expensive. Expensive. Yeah, I know that's redundant. But the point is like, there's no way you can afford to be in business and making decent profits if you're providing 24-hour customer service. They do list the phone number, of course. If you try to call it, it's one of those, this number hasn't been set up type messages, which is kind of what you would expect. The other thing that is, of course, really strange is if you dig around on their website, they mention a 90-day no question asked return policy, which is, again, obscenely like crazy outside of industry standard. Like nobody would do that. There are lots of businesses that will do returns, but for legitimate reasons that you can prove. Like they'll either ask for a photo or you'll send them back the broken item, whatever it was, and they'll look into it and that sort of thing. But like no questions asked, just go ahead and return it. I mean, think about how many like crooked YouTube channels could exploit that, where, they could just review things for essentially free because they'll try it out. And then as long as they return it within 90 days, no questions asked, they get all their money back, all the free content you could generate. And just people that in general that will, try it out. No, I didn't really like it, and then now they're stuck with just a giant inventory of used guns because they keep going in and out for 90-day trial periods. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that's way too destructive to like a bottom line of a real business for anybody to offer that. Like I said, it totally does happen for like legitimate reasons that you can document. It doesn't happen, no questions asked. That's another one of those too good to be true. They're trying to lure you in. And lastly, of course, we can also look up their street address because they do provide one. If you pull that into Google Streets, you'll see that the building it pulls up looks nothing like the one in their About Us section. From what I can gather, it looks like it's a radio broadcasting company. You can even see their tower right there in the background. There's actually a video, I'll post a link to it below, of a guy visiting this building, and he talked to some people that are there. They, of course, never heard of any gun store, nothing of the sort. He says pretty much the same thing. It's all these like media-type companies. They don't exist in that physical location where they claim to. So pretty much, to me, if I had to, obviously it seems like it's just some kind of a foreign scam operation. I don't know what the laws are about trying to prosecute people that are scamming Americans from overseas, and, are there extradition laws for all that sort of thing? And it's probably more trouble than it's worth, just like you really can't get, somebody to go after the faux IRS calls that come out of India and such. So I don't know that there's much that can be done about it as far as reporting it. I know people have tried because, they have this F rating on Better Business Bureau. People keep spending money and getting absolutely nothing, getting ghosted. I haven't done it myself. I mean, even for $8.60, I'm just like, I don't want to play that game. But essentially, yeah, essentially if you're searching around for ammo or guns or anything like that, and you come across these guys, for your own benefit, avoid them. That's really all there is to say, at all costs.